Hi everybody, Kim Parshley here, and welcome to today's session, Breaking the Limits. 5 Shifts to Freedom from Anxiety, Panic Attacks, and Agoraphobia. I am so glad you're here with me right now, and I cannot wait to jump right in. So let's just get started. So let's talk about who this is for. This is for the millions of men out there who are suffering alone with debilitating anxiety, stress, panic attacks, excessive worry, depression, obsessive thoughts, fears, nervousness, and agoraphobia. Now, if you're sacrificing your well being to avoid asking for help and you feel like the weight of the world is on your chest and you just can't find your way back to normal, this is for you. In the next 45 minutes, we're going to talk about how to stop panic attacks right in their tracks, once and for all. We'll talk about how to break out of your comfort zone and live in the moment without fear and panic getting in the way of your work, income, your family, relationships, decision making, daily routines, and your goals. How to finally get back to all of the things you love to do and everyday activities like socializing, driving, flying, shopping, work, and travel without the constant worry of having a panic attack. How to get rid of self-doubt and gain back your confidence, your strength, self-reliance, and motivation while ultimately becoming your very own safe person. We're going to talk about how to rewire your negative brain patterns and anticipatory anxiety that weigh you down and bring on the panic attacks. And finally, how to save your strained relationships, whether with friends, colleagues, family, or your partner. And finally, have the deep, meaningful relationships you've been longing for. I'm going to make a promise to you right now. A step-by-step system that will no longer have you at the mercy of anxiety, panic attacks, and agoraphobia. And I know it might sound unbelievable right now, but I can promise you that it's possible. But first, let's talk about the house rules. First, you should be open to exploring your thoughts and your fears. Now, I know that some men are wired to not want to ask for help. Based on that old adage, men hate to ask for directions. Well, that might be you. And some may feel like they just don't want to talk about their feelings and what's going on inside and their fears. So you really have to be open to that and able to discuss your emotional and physical symptoms and experiences and be honest with yourself. You should have a strong inner desire to make things better for yourself and be present and available to get started on this new chapter in your life. You must truly believe that you deserve freedom from anxiety, panic disorder, and agoraphobia, and remain dedicated and committed to the action plan. So let's talk about some of these symptoms that anxiety brings on and when you're in the midst of a panic attack. Does any of this sound like you? Do you have extreme anxiousness, unrealistic worry, fear, tension, or apprehension that you just can't shake? Do you experience unexplained, strange body symptoms for no apparent reason? You may feel like you can't breathe. Your throat is closing. Oh, that's the worst. Racing heart, upset stomach, bewilderment, feeling as if you're going to pass out, die, have a heart attack, or even lose your mind. Have you been out in public or at work and experienced the fight or flight symptoms and worry that you just can't escape, or you may even end up embarrassing yourself in front of others? Do you suffer with agoraphobia and avoid certain situations like driving or shopping, socializing, dating, travel, and leaving your own home due to the fear of the scary physical symptoms it may produce? Do your relationships suffer and feel strained and distant? And do you see others living a normal life and wish more than anything that this could be you, but you have no idea where to even start? Do you feel like you're abnormal? I'm sure many of you can relate to this. I remember I felt like an alien, especially in school. And I remember watching a ton of people playing and having fun and living and being in the moment while I was sitting there unable to catch my breath, just all wrapped up in my own inner thoughts, and my throat was closing and I couldn't breathe. And I just remember the teacher sounded like the Charlie Brown teacher, wah, 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 in the background, and I didn't know anything that was going on. I was so bewildered. And I really did. I felt like an alien. So feeling abnormal is normal when you have anxiety. The real problem? You haven't made the shifts. So if your anxiety reaches a point where it disrupts your life, disrupts your thought process, creates and stimulates your body to release these fight or flight chemicals into your body, which only makes you feel more anxious, more nervous, makes you overthink and over worry. And then you have even more anxiety on top of anxiety, more than the average person. Then you definitely need to become familiar with the 5 shifts. So I'm going to walk you through them right now, just so you have a better understanding of how this works. Now, once you make them, you'll be able to leave your home with more confidence, strength, and self-reliance to face any challenge without excessive worry or fear of having panic attacks or anxiety. You'll be able to travel again, cross bridges, feel comfortable in public and crowded places without ever having to rely on your comfy, safe place or safe person again. You will gain the strength you need to get back to work, focus, be productive, and make more money than ever before, so you can truly live your life without limits. You will learn how to beat your fears so you can get back to life and start making amazing memories with your friends, family, and loved ones. And you'll no longer feel like a prisoner in your own home and be able to come and go as you please. You'll do all of this without endless trips to a therapist's office or loading up on more meds. So right about now, you're probably saying, who the heck is this woman and how does she know me so well? Well, I have experienced terrible anxiety, agoraphobia, to the point where I couldn't even leave my home. I experienced that for decades. It actually started when I was about 8 years old. It actually started Sunday nights right before school would start the night before, and I would just have these exhausting episodes of where I thought I was crazy. I thought I was losing my mind. I remember sticking my head out of the dining room window and trying to breathe. I remember my mom giving me tea, thinking that it was going to make me feel better, but it was just more caffeine, which only made me even more nervous. It didn't help anything. And back then, we didn't even know what anxiety was. And so we'll get to that later, but let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a certified master life coach and self-help life changer. I'm dedicated to helping the millions of men in the world that are suffering with chronic anxiety, panic attacks, and agoraphobia. I'm the proud owner and creator of an international social networking website that helps people that are missing the element of family in their lives. I had that inspiration come to me many years ago from the passing of both of my parents. And that's what made me create that website. And I'm also considered the matchmaker in the real estate world. For 20 years as a licensed New York City realtor, I spent 2 decades helping people acquire one of the most important necessities in life, and that would be shelter. And it's very rewarding. I love that job. And I also find time for my many passions in life, some of which include acting, directing, writing, producing. But, there was a time in my life when all of that wasn't even possible for me because I couldn't step foot out of my home. I mean, I would have severe panic attacks on a daily basis, sometimes 10, 20 a day. It was really bad. So I pretty much locked myself away from the rest of the world. I envied my friends and family that were so easily able to just live their life and be free. I was just like the many of you that are here with me right now, I'm sure. And then I discovered the 5 shifts, and that's when everything changed for me. And I want to share them with you. I will tell you, when I discovered the 5 shifts, my life instantly changed. Many people have described it as breathing for the very first time. Feeling the freedom of being able to work again, be productive, and make more money than ever before is so fulfilling. It's a special feeling when people say that their creativity comes back at full speed, which in turn brings strength and power, respect and confidence right along with it. And you know that constant black cloud that just hovers over everyone that suffers with anxiety? Well, that just quickly dissipates. And then the best gift of all is when I hear people tell me that they no longer need to run to a safe place or a safe person when they feel anxious. And instead, they soon become their very own safe person without the need to escape. And you can too. But without these shifts, you will continue to feel stuck. Now, there are 5 key shifts that you must make in order to conquer your anxiety and panic attacks so you can get back to living life on your terms without fear and without worry. I'm going to walk you through all 5 of them right here on this session. So let's jump right into the first shift. I call this one Knowledge is Power. And I really want you to listen to this one because it has a lot to do with why I actually chose to work with men. So let's jump right into it. So here's a little food for thought. Did you know that 40 million adults in the United States suffer with anxiety disorders? Now, women tend to suffer with it more, but overall, 14.3% of these people are men. Now, it's a huge disservice to men that suffer with anxiety because women are more prone and seem to get a little bit more attention and education, and therefore leaving many men undiagnosed and in the dark. Now, most men are wired to keep their feelings inside and are afraid to ask for help in fear of being judged. Now, it's crucial to realize that talking about this is not a form of weakness, but rather a strength. Without an open line of communication, you will continue to feel stuck, making it even harder to break free in the long run. It's that curse that men hate to ask for directions. It's what gets you into trouble. So when it comes to our health, you must have a strong foundation in order to activate these helpful tools. Without it, you will continue to feel trapped in your own mental anguish, making it harder to overcome your anxiety in the long run. Which brings me to the second shift. Challenge yourself. Some of you may actually have a safe place or a safe person that you run to when you have your anxiety attacks. You may feel that's the only way you're going to overcome it, that you call them, you visit them, you drive there, whatever it is. I know I had mine. Mine was my mom, and she was the one I always ran to when I had my anxiety. And so that's great. Having support is absolutely wonderful, but sometimes it can get you into trouble. So let's talk about it. So this is the shift where some of us come face to face with what's actually holding us back. Friends and family may enable your condition by telling you it's okay to avoid certain activities due to your anxiety. But on the contrary, breaking out of your comfort zone is actually more therapeutic. Face the fear and learn how to do it anyway. That's one of my favorite expressions. Look, support is a wonderful thing. However, having to rely on that same support on a daily basis without ever breaking free on your own is unhealthy. Ultimately, getting rid of the dependent emotional crutch is important when it comes to healing properly. So this shift is the one shift that all you guys out there ignore all the time. And that's listening to your body and your mind. So let's talk about this, even though I know you don't want to, but let's talk about it. So this really is one of the main things that many men neglect doing. During a panic attack, our bodies experience the fight or flight syndrome. And this happens when our thoughts convince our brain and body that there is impending danger or doom about to happen. Now, our bodies will release certain hormones called adrenaline and cortisol into the bloodstream to prepare the body to either run or battle, also referred to as the fight or flight situation, which I've talked about before. During this emotional and physical struggle, you may experience increased heart rate, hyperventilation, just can't breathe, feel like you can't catch your breath, sweating, shaking, tightening sensation in your throat or your chest, intense feeling of nervousness that you just can't shake. The world around you might feel like it's closing in on you, and you might think that you're going to pass out or die and ultimately embarrass yourself. Is this how you want to live? That's the question. Which brings me to the old way of dealing with anxiety. All right, so how many of you have ended up in the emergency room? Feel like you're having a heart attack, you feel like you're about to die, and they tell you it's anxiety, and nothing's wrong with you. You've passed the test, your health is fine. You end up going to doctor after doctor, they give you medication, you spend maybe hundreds, thousands of dollars on therapy, and you drink, you self-medicate, and they tell you it's all in your head, and you might spend a ton of money on these self-help books, and everything is basically just a band-aid. And the old way only adds more fuel to the fire. Honestly, without the right treatment, your anxiety and panic attacks will only get worse. Does this make sense? Everything that you've tried to conquer your anxiety clearly has not worked. And that's why you're here with me right now. You need something that will kick your anxiety to the curb and get rid of it once and for all. Which brings us to the new way of dealing with your anxiety, your panic attacks, and your agoraphobia. First, we have to create an open mindset. That part is crucial. Being open and honest with your feelings and dealing with your symptoms and being in touch with them and addressing those negative trigger thought patterns that actually put the wheels in motion to the chronic panic attacks and feelings of these spacey bewilderment and outside of your body sensations that you just cannot shake. And again, back to my favorite expression, learning how to feel the fear and do it anyway. Learning how to challenge yourself and outgrowing the chains that bind you to this panic disorder. And you have to practice special relaxation breathing techniques. Now, the latest ones are really helpful. They help calm your body and your mind and put you in a safe place where you're able to actually get on with your daily routines without having to suffer with the fear of the panic getting in the way. And it's very important that you understand the science behind your anxiety and your panic attacks. Again, knowledge is power. Knowing how the body works, how it's triggered, what your thoughts are, and what's bringing it on is crucial in your healing. So let's just do a quick recap and go over everything that we discussed so far. We talked about who this is for. And if any of it sounds like you, then it's good that you're here with me right now. We talked about the consequences of living with anxiety over time and what that does to your body and your mind the more you experience it. Shift 1, knowledge is power. Understanding the power of anxiety is crucial, and being able to open your mind up and talk about it and go over your feelings and everything that you've been experiencing thus far is super important. It's on the road to healing. Shift 2, challenging yourself. How support is a wonderful thing, but enabling is not. Having your safe person in your safe place is really comfy, but in the long run, it's not healthy. So you have to challenge yourself. And shift 3, listening to your body and your mind. The fight or flight episodes and what they do to your body over time, and how relaxation techniques are super important. Learning to breathe and getting those special tools in place so that you're able to overcome these panic attacks and put them right in their place. And this is a great segue into our 4th shift, and it's about believing in yourself. One of the reasons you're suffering with anxiety and depression and agoraphobia and chronic worry and stress is because you don't have that faith. You don't have that confidence right now. Doesn't mean you can't get it back, but right now, this is what you're dealing with. So let's just talk a little bit about believing in yourself. Predictable mainstream advice may want you to slow down and take things at a snail's pace or live on sedatives to help calm you down. You and I both know that living that way will only build regret and leave you feeling shortchanged in life. Most of these self-help books that deal with anxiety simply explain and define what it is, but never really get to the heart and the cure for panic attacks once and for all. It's important to realize that you can actually use your anxiety to work for you and not against you by reconditioning your belief system and tweaking some old habits and by stretching your boundaries. Ultimately, you want to reprogram the anxious default setting that you currently live by without losing that creative, passionate, smart, intuitive spirit that exists within you. So here we are at the final shift. Invest in coaching. Well, before I became a master life coach, I was coached myself. I truly believe that it is very important at some point in our life to have a professional who helps us reach a goal or make a change in our life, help us get out of our head and start taking action in the areas of life that we really wish to change. A mentor or a coach, they play the important role of motivator and accountability partner. Their goal is to help you reach your goal in the most efficient, effective, and rewarding way possible. So I was very lucky to have a wonderful coach in my life. And so I want to be the same for you. Because ultimately, bad habits, unhealthy distractions, and self-medicating are not going to help you. It will only make things worse. So give yourself permission to learn and to adjust to new behaviors and new habits that will ultimately change your life forever. Accept and be open to exploring new challenges, concepts, and ideas instead of being stuck in that same mindset with the same unhealthy actions. Be good to yourself. You deserve it. You deserve to feel your very best. Because you do. What it comes down to is what you need to win. And it's the 5 shifts. Knowledge is power. Challenge yourself. Listen to your body and your mind. Believe in yourself. Invest in life coaching. So now you have a choice. You're at that fork in the road and you have to decide, is this something that I want to live with? What's at stake by staying and living with anxiety? Most minor and major illnesses are stress-induced. The stress response that we put our body through can actually hurt you over time. Whenever you have an anxiety attack or a panic attack, your body actually decreases the amount of leukocytes in your system, which actually affects your immune system directly. This can cause cancer, stroke, heart disease, stomach ulcers, you name it. And you have to decide, are you going to allow this to disrupt your entire well-being, whether it be physical or emotional? This is the part in your life where you have to decide if you want to just live with this or if you truly want to live. You can either take everything I've shared with you, or you can stay stuck with extreme anxiety, excessive worrying, nervousness, and the feeling like you just can't breathe. You can keep feeling lost and scared, avoiding certain places or situations that might bring on the panic. You can carry on living never knowing when your next panic attack will be and how long it will last. Or you can find a way to break free from the chains and live life on your terms without the worry and the fear of what might happen next time. Freedom from anxiety means you will finally start aligning with your true self and ultimately Be able to trust the one person you have been doubting all along, you. You can build a life for yourself that will lead you to more opportunities, healthier relationships, and closer to the goals that set you free. So that's where I come in. How can I help? I've set aside some time in the next 48 hours to speak with you personally about how you can apply these ideas to your life starting today. Whatever your biggest challenges are, I've seen it, I've been there, and I know how to overcome it. No matter how intense your anxiety is, it doesn't matter. Panic cannot stand a chance against this strategic plan. Helping you overcome the shackles of anxiety, panic attacks, and agoraphobia at any level is what I do. We will get on the phone for about 45 minutes, and on the session, I will work with you to create a step-by-step game plan to put an end to your chronic stress, your anxiety, and your panic attacks, agoraphobia, all of it, once and for all. And the cost is absolutely free. On the call, I will get you clear on 3 things. How there is a simple way to stop anxiety from disrupting your life. How to free the powerful champion inside of you that's been waiting on the sidelines, bound by anxiety. Show you how amazing life is on the other side of anxiety once you get past it. So let's talk about who this is actually for. You know, those guys out there that just hate to ask for directions and will suffer and suffer and suffer without asking for help and just keep brushing it under the rug. This is for the men out there who are determined. The ones who are ready and willing to fight and conquer their anxiety once and for all and come to terms with it, period. It's for those who can put their pride and their ego aside and open themselves up to this crucial help. Finally realize that you deserve it. And if that's you, book a session now. So I'd like to share with you why I'm doing this. Like I mentioned earlier, I had anxiety. It started when I was 8 years old, and it was brought on by having to go to school the next morning. So it usually started on Sunday nights because I had a nice long weekend, and then Monday would come around and forget it. I was just full-blown anxiety, panic attacks, couldn't breathe. It was the whole kit and caboodle, and it was really bad. There was a small period of time where I grew out of it, but then later on in my teens, it got really bad after my dad passed away. I was only 13. And then after that, it was really full-blown to the point where I actually had agoraphobia. I could not leave my home. I had such severe panic attacks. I couldn't breathe. My throat would close. I would just shake and tremble, and I would feel really outside of myself, as if I was losing my mind or going crazy. I felt like no one could understand what I was going through. I would hyperventilate. I felt really weird and spacey. I couldn't go to school. I had so many days off. And then even as I got older, it got to the point where I couldn't leave my house. I couldn't work. I was actually paying rent for an apartment, and I wasn't living there for 2 years because I had to stay with my safe person that was my mom at the time. And she really just made me feel grounded, and I felt safe with her. And so I actually stayed there, and I suffered with it for 2 decades. And it was really, really bad. But on top of me having anxiety, before my dad passed away, he had it as well. I remember every single morning hearing him pace back and forth. I was just a little girl, and I remember him pacing back and forth every morning before work. He just didn't want to get on that train. I remember him not wanting to drive upstate. He would get these panic attacks. We didn't really know what it was back in the day, but it was just this fear of driving. I guess he was afraid he was going to pass out from having these panic attacks. And so my mom would have to drive upstate. And I just remember after he passed away and decades of me suffering with it, it was just so hard knowing that I finally realized what the anxiety was and that I had cured myself, and I never had the chance to help him. And so that's why I'm here right now. I actually have the opportunity to help all of you. And so if you feel like you may need my help, to get that head and body of yours to work with you instead of against you, I'm here for you.